Hallelujah Bread number 6, A Pilgrim's Progress, the pursuit of an eternal city whose builder and maker is God. We are pilgrims in search of a city. Quoting from Hebrews 11, verses 9 and 10. By faith he, Abraham, sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs of him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. A Pilgrim's Progress. John Bunyan wrote the book by this name at the end of the 17th century. It is clearly an account written by someone with the understanding of an authentic Christian. That is, a person who has been born again and who experienced the renewal of the Spirit and the, quote, God life, unquote. The book and video versions are available for any who wish to access them. This account of a pilgrim sojourner speaks to me strongly because of its insights and understanding of how worldly ways and values are so often in contention with Christian life. It is no different today than it was in the 17th century. It clearly was the same in the days of the apostles in the 1st century. The trials and victories of the believer remained the same. We believers are sojourners, proceeding on a path that winds through many dangers, toils, and snares, with God's eternal city ever in view as our destination. We recall the words of Jesus to his apostles that a set-apart believer's pilgrim life will follow a path different from the world. When anyone becomes spiritually renewed, we have our eyes and hearts opened. What Jesus teaches about the world is a matter that most people have not even considered. This world stands in contradiction to the truth, because it is under the influence of the God of this world. In John 7:7, Jesus says, "The world cannot hate you, but it hates me, because I testify of it, that its works are evil." And in John 17:6-11, Jesus prayed what is called his high priestly prayer. "I have manifested your name to the men who you have given me out of the world. They were yours. You gave them to me." And John 17:9, "I pray for them. I do not pray for the world, but for those whom you have given me, for they are yours." The same John, in his first epistle, writes, 1 John 2:15, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever." There are many times of testing, hardship, and travails in the life of a believer. One has only to look at the lives of the first apostles to see how they faced one trial or adversity after another. Most died as martyrs. I hope that none of us must face as many obstacles as Paul, who ministered the gospel about 30 years. He recounts in his chronicle of the rough path on his way to the goal of a greater reward of service to the King of glory and the promise of a better resurrection. In 2 Corinthians 11:23-28, Paul says, "In labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequently, in deaths often. From the Jews 5 times I received 40 stripes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I have been in the deep. In journeys often, in perils of waters, in perils of robbers, in perils of my own countrymen, in perils of the Gentiles, in perils in the city, in perils in the wilderness, in perils in the sea, in perils among false brethren, in weariness and toil, in sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst, in fasting often, in cold and nakedness. Besides the other things, what comes upon me daily, my deep concern for all the churches. Any doctrine that speaks of ease and blessed life is not reflecting the realities of being in the world, but not of it. God does not promise a life without trials or persecution. In this world, Jesus says, you will have tribulation, but do not fear. I have overcome the world. You do not have to look too hard to see how the world has intermingled with church life. This fact appears not to have come to the attention of most believers. False gospels, false apostles, false brethren, and false doctrines have always been matters for which a pilgrim must be vigilant, lest he swerve from the hope to reach for that eternal city, whose builder and whose maker is God.